Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Lukusa. I'm director for Odoo Kenya and Africa. Today I have the pleasure to be hosting Marine on the stage. She has traveled all from Africa to come and see you and share her experience with what they are doing in Africa as a business, but also how we are helping them as Odoo with their business. I will give the floor to Marine to introduce herself, and then we'll pick it up from there.
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be with you. So my name is Marine. So I'm French and I'm based out of Mauritius. So I just traveled to Belgium to be with you all for the Odoo event. So what I do is that I'm the group finance manager for Anzana Electric Group. So now it's been 5 years I'm working with them. Before that, I was a financial auditor, so I worked with Big Four cabinets in Paris and in Luxembourg. So I worked with PwC and EY. And since 5 years, so I work with Anzana Electric Group. So I started as financial controller and then grew in the position of finance manager. And today I supervise all the accounting, financing, company administration, compliance, and tax matters for the group in all the jurisdictions where we operate. So being Mauritius, Burundi, Kenya, Tanzania, and Zambia.
Totally. Wow, Marine has really an inspiring journey in accounting. Usually people tend to think that when you are in finance, accounting, you try to stay away from technology and so on, but you'll discover that not only she is doing everything finance, but she's also overseeing the Odoo projects in their company. Today, this is the agenda that we have prepared for you. You will first get to know what they're doing as a business. The company name is Anzana Electric Group, formerly referred to as
Virunga
Power, yes. And then before joining Odoo, they were facing some challenges that they will tell us about. We will see also why they moved to Odoo, how is it going with the implementation, and the best thing is, what is the impact that we can see on your business. Obviously, you'll have time to ask your questions, so feel free to scan the pads that is here. You'll be able to jot your questions, and at the end of this session, we'll try to answer a maximum of them. And if you have on-the-spot questions, then we'll see if we still have time to take them as we go. So maybe you can give us an insight into what is Anzana Group.
Okay.
And I also heard that you recently changed the name of the company. What is behind the logic about it?
Okay, all right. So actually our group was founded in 2011 by Brian Kelly, the CEO. So he named the group based on the Virunga Mountains. And this is how it's all started. It started in Kenya as a small company with a few projects in Kenya. And then over like the last 10 years, it grew up with more projects. It's expanding in other countries. And also with other projects, not just like generating electricity, but also building transmission line. So all of this led to like a rebranding, which happened like a few months ago, and now we rebranded to Anzana Electric Group, which is derived from a Swahili word that means like bringing a tool that enables people to do something more with their lives. So today, what does Anzana Electric Group do? So what we do is that we develop and we operate renewable energy projects. So projects for generation of electricity, but also projects to develop grid distribution, so transmission lines. So why our mission is to bring like reliable and affordable energy to communities. And so why did we develop this mission? Is because in Africa there are lots of needs in terms of infrastructure, and electricity is lacking in lots of regions. So we decided to develop in East Africa because there are countries where there are lots of needs there, and also there are also some governments that are willing to develop their countries and satisfy the needs of their population. Also in East Africa, you have attractive climate and geography that enables us to develop renewable energy projects. So we are mostly focused on hydroelectricity, so the East African region is really green with lots of rivers, so that helps develop such projects. Also in those regions you have like high population density, so potentially lots of customers for us. So what we do now is that we have a portfolio of about 20 projects across the region. So we are present in countries like Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, Zambia, and Malawi. And currently we are mostly active in Burundi through two brands. So one is Songa Energy Burundi, where we develop generation projects, so to generate about 11 megawatts of electricity. And we have another big project in Burundi through the company Weza Power. And this project is to build the transmission lines in Burundi to cover like 70% of the country. Okay. Another company I want to name is Zengamina. So Zengamina is one of our projects in Zambia that already sells electricity to about 800 customers. So in the rural area, and it's currently expanding to be able to serve another 3,000 customers.
Totally. And just out of curiosity, what is the type of customers you are serving? Do you have also corporate, or it's also mostly domestic customers?
It's a mix of customers. So you have like really like customers directly, like households, yes. But you also have like small businesses. You have small rural hospitals, and also some like industries as well. Totally.
Impressive. Is there any country that you are planning to venture into?
Well, we are partnering in Malawi with a company and expecting to develop further their business. But we're also looking at other countries like DRC and Angola.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Now that we have heard about what the company does, where you operate and so on, a year ago more or less, you started the journey to search for an ERP or a tool to manage your operations across Africa. Would you tell us about how it started? What were the challenges that triggered that needs for a tool to support your business?
Yeah. So about like a year ago, we decided to migrate to a new ERP. Well, to migrate to a real ERP, I would say, because at the time we were using different softwares. So we were playing on accounting with QuickBooks. We were using Zoho for expenses, another software for people management, and also a lot of Excel. And the company was growing, incorporating more and more countries, more and more companies. So we build up now, we have 20 companies in the portfolio. So we were in a situation where we were not doing our operations in the most efficient way. Because we were using several softwares, we were copying data from one software to another, so it was taking a lot of time just to re-enter data into another software. Also would create potential like manual errors when reporting the data. So we needed to find a solution to be more efficient, and it was mostly led by the finance department, because it was mostly to solve first like the accounting needs. So this is how we started thinking about that. And also, so we were incorporating like 20 companies, so that meant we also had to do consolidation. Not just like consolidation of accounts, but also being able to have a view, like a view on your consolidated cash, a view on your consolidated customers,
on the projects you're managing in different regions?
Yeah, so we were a bit lacking that, and we were jumping from one software to another, from one company to another. There were no intercompany transactions possible. Also, our business is financed by a mix of like equity, debt, and grants. So we had increasing reporting requirements. So that meant we had to provide like quality reports in a faster manner, and also present our reports in dollars when lots of our companies, they were using other currencies.
Totally.
So we had companies that were reporting in Kenyan shilling, in Tanzanian shilling, in Burundi franc, but at the end of the day we were to report to investors, to grantors in dollars. And all of these reports, we were like building a big Excel file, and we were doing all those computations from one currency to the USD, all manually. So it was taking a lot of time to prepare any type of reports, and it could be also subject to manual error.
Exactly.
So we needed to find a system to streamline the process and make sure we could like provide high quality reports. And also all those different investors, they want to know where their money is going. They want to check that what they funded is actually spent on the right expenses. So we also had to start doing more analytical accounting. So this is something that we were also looking to implement, being able to track one cost to which projects it belongs, because also at the same time we have, for example, we have project costs that can be dispatched across 3-4 entities. So at the end of the day, it was a bit difficult for us to know, like, so what is the total amount we spent on this project, because we had to pick up some costs here and there. So we needed like a more integrated, multi-company ERP. So I think those were like mostly the main challenges we encountered.
Totally. It looks like a long shopping list, and I remember when we met in our office, you explained all about it, but you also put, I would say, a quantity. You had to quantify the pain you were going through, for example, for expense management, for consolidating your figures in accounting. It would take you days to report, and these were the actual things that you wanted to solve. But then you started the journey to look for a new system. And the question is, why did you decide to go with Odoo at the time?
Okay, yeah, well, we did a lot of brainstorming, and we had lots of interviews with several service providers. And at the end of the day, so the reasons why we choose Odoo, I think it's because it's simple, it's user-friendly, and it already incorporates lots of solutions we wanted to implement. So we were satisfied with the fact that this was like a one-stop shop for all the needs we wanted to cover, especially like the needs related to accounting and finance. But also, we had in mind that we would need an ERP when we scale up, when
go to another country, for example?
Yes, we would already have like solutions proposed by the system that we could like quickly implement, and it would not take a lot of long back and forth meetings with a team of assistants, of like technicians to help us launch the system. I think also the price was one of the reasons we chose Odoo, because it's affordable price as we pay per user, and this also, as we are like growing the company, this enables us to play with different applications without paying the cost for it. So that was also something we considered, because like as you develop your business, as you scale, the needs are going to be a bit different, and you'll have to incorporate new processes. And if we can incorporate them without extra cost, that's also a good thing.
Totally. Now, usually I see it from the Odoo side, so I know what Odoo is capable of and so on, but what can be interesting to the audience is the journey that you went through. Most people that are looking for a system, they're having some questions in their minds. What should we do to make sure that during the selection process, we do our duties well to end up with the right solutions? Is there anything that you put in place to make sure that yourself and your staff will be focusing on what matters the most for the company in order for you to end up with the right solution? If you can share some lights on that.
Okay, well, when we started looking for ERP solutions, we wrote down what were like the current needs that we wanted to satisfy. And I think everyone in the team also shared like how much time they lose on some like basic daily work, routine work, and we started like looking for that, and then we realized, well, at the end, like during the closing period, it takes one person like 3 days just to report intercompany transactions.
Exactly.
So we're like, well, 3 days during the closing period, that's enormous. It takes 1 day for one person to report expenses, expense data from Zoho to QuickBooks.
Exactly.
So we started like doing a bit this introspection of how much time we spend on several tasks, several routine tasks. And then we also thought about what are the other needs. So as of today, but also in the future, when our businesses grow, when we incorporate new processes, what would be those new needs and whether we can find an ERP that already helps us think for the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is future-proof. Okay, now maybe the most important part is, okay, there was a situation before, a situation after, but the in-between is what we call the implementation. How did you receive support to analyze your requirements, do the implementation or configuration, and obviously start using the tool? What was your experience like?
Okay. So the implementation was mostly led by the finance team, and actually we were like 2% like really doing the implementation. And we were supported by 2 Odoo technicians in Nairobi. So all of it went quite smoothly, I have to say. Even though in the beginning I was a bit afraid, like doing everything remotely. But I have to say it went all well, and usually what happened is that we had a session with the Odoo technicians, maybe a 1 or 2 hour calls where we were discussing about the needs, what we were to implement, which were like discussing about the different phases or steps, and they were like listening, understanding our needs, and then coming back with existing solutions so that the implementation could be smoother. Like, let's try to use what is already in the system so that things go smoothly. And the Odoo technicians were like, we show you once, and then you shall be able to do it yourself. So at the beginning I was a bit skeptical, like 1 hour, 2 hour call, would that be sufficient for us to like be able to configure the system? But actually it worked because it's quite user friendly. And it's really easy, not even for non-like IT person, because I'm more like on finance and accounting background, and we have no IT department at Anzana, so it was quite really easy to understand and implement. And well, we also had some sessions in Nairobi, as we have also an office in Nairobi. We went to meet your team, so that was also like efficient. And overall, it took us, I think, 5 months to migrate about 20 companies.
From different tools into one tool, which is Odoo.
Exactly, yeah. And so I think it went quite fast and quite smoothly. Well, of course, after this migration phase, well, there was still a learning phase.
Totally.
But I think we worked a lot with the Odoo technicians. We also watched a lot of tutorials on YouTube. That was quite helpful. And what I had not anticipated before is that we would really be the ones like customizing and configuring the system, and that's really something that now I appreciate that we are able to do.
That you take ownership of the usage so that you can change it the way you want as of when you want it.
Yeah, indeed, because now things go so fast. Like we want to implement, like set up a new threshold in approval requests or set up a new approver in the process. Well, they have shown us once, now we know how to do, so it's just take us like 5 minutes and it's done.
Totally. I think a few things of what you say will resonate with our audience. One is sometimes you work remotely for the implementation. In your case, it turned out to be useful because you are operating in many countries, you are traveling. So if you are not meeting in person, we either wait for you to come back and we delay the project, or we fly someone to your destination and the cost goes up. So the flexibility we have of working remotely in this case turned out to be quite interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Now that we have the project that is implemented, would you maybe reflect with us on how it impacted your company, your business, and the efficiency overall that you are seeing?
Yeah, I think we saved a lot of time and become much more efficient, notably on the accounting closing process.
Yes.
Because now there are lots of accounting entries, journal entries that we've been able to automate, such as like fixed asset depreciation, accruals and prepayments, loans as well, also foreign currency revaluation, which is quite important for us. Now it's just like you said, you configure everything in the system, and during the closing phase, it's just like you just click a few buttons and it's done. When before we used to be spending days for that. So I think we gain efficiency there. Also, we are now able to track transactions from A to Z. So for example, for expenses, the expense application talk to the accounting application. So from the expense application, we know who submits an expense, who has approved it, and then we can just directly post it in the accounting journals, so that's quite efficient. So I think in terms of tracking records, it improved, and also in terms of internal controls, because we also have applications where now we see who approves what. We can define some thresholds. So
good
that's
for auditing, for drilling down to the details and so on.
Indeed.
Very interesting. And I hope that as you go, you discover more impacts. I was discussing with you a few minutes ago on the new developments of Odoo 18 and the improvements on consolidation. And I hope that there's something for you. This is maybe what was summarizing what you said. It's integrated, expense and accounting. You have plenty of features. It's scalable. If you add a new company, you can just deploy it in Odoo and you benefit from it. And it's user-friendly.
Yep.
Maybe in really a nutshell, what do you think is next for you?
What's next for us is that now other departments from the group start to be interested about Odoo.
Okay.
So as I mentioned earlier, it was mostly led by the finance department to cover our needs. And now I see like everyone is asking me now, can I do this on Odoo? So what about procurement? What about inventory? Or I'm going to recruit someone and I want to onboard someone and train them. What can we do with Odoo? So it's like going, I think, to the next phase and integrating other processes that would meet other department needs.
So now we can officially say that next to being the group finance manager, administration manager, we can call you the Odoo expert of the group.
Yes.
Thank you for such a nice insight and sharing session. It's time for the questions. Those who want to join us can scan these QR codes. While you are doing that, I'll just look if we have a few questions. We'll just take 1 minute or 1 minute and a half before we are done with it. So I see, how does Anzana manage your fixed assets? Yeah.
I'm supposed to ask you the questions. So
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Great, thanks.
I guess we only have time for one. So let's go with the third one over there. So did you use for your implementation any third-party partners, or did you go with Odoo support directly?
We did with Odoo support directly. So we were just 2% from our group working on the implementation, and we were working with 2 Odoo technicians.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you have any piece of advice for companies that do want to go to that route with Odoo directly and implement Odoo for their companies?
I think if the first advice is like clearly understand what are your needs, and if you're able to explain that to Odoo technicians, they will help and find a solution that already exists. And then if you have if you have very complex transactions, maybe you can go and like customize the tools for your needs.
Totally. On the same, maybe another advice is you can go on our website and browse the list of partners. If you are confused, you can talk to the Odoo Direct. Once we do the analysis based on your best understanding of your own requirements, we are able to tell you that your project is not eligible to work with us directly because it has some level of complexity and so on. Then we can recommend you to some partners that are a good fit for the business you are doing.
All right, thank you very much. And I think that's the only time we have. Thank you very much for your talk.
Thank you.
It was very informative.
Thank you. I will ask the audience to appreciate Marine, who traveled the whole way.
Thank you.
Thank you.